Today, we are diving into a really powerful and honestly a kind of unsettling concept, Law 27. This one is all about tapping into one of the most basic human drives we have, that deep, deep need to believe in something and using it to build an incredibly loyal, almost cult-like following. So yeah, let's get right into it.
But first, let's start with a really fundamental question. What is it about us, as people, that makes us so hungry for something to put our faith in? This isn't just some casual thing. The book argues that this is an overwhelming, almost primal need that really shapes a lot of what we do.
And this right here is where the law gets all of its power. See, the source material says this desperation isn't a weakness. It's more like a vacuum just waiting to be filled. And the person who can step into that vacuum and become the center of that desire, the one who offers a new cause, a new faith, well, that person holds the key to some serious influence and power.
So let's talk more about that vacuum. What creates this psychological void in the first place? Well, the text suggests that the world we live in today has a lot to do with it.
Think about it. As big traditional structures like organized religion or these huge national movements start to fade from the center of our lives, a kind of emptiness and doubt can start to creep in. It leaves people searching, whether they know it or not, for something new to give their life meaning. And that creates the perfect fertile ground for new ideas and new leaders to take hold.
And this quote from the source just hits the nail on the head. It's not about trying to force people to believe you. It's about recognizing that they're already hungry for something and then simply presenting yourself as the thing they've been looking for. The trick is to position your idea as the answer to that deep-seated need for purpose.
Okay, so the source doesn't just leave this as some vague idea. Oh no, it lays out a surprisingly clear 5-step process for building a following. It's basically a charlatan's playbook for how to manufacture belief.
So here it is. This is the roadmap. We're going to walk through each one of these 5 steps. Start with vague promises, then hit them with a big spectacle, borrow the structures that you know work, hide where the money's coming from, and finally, unite everyone by creating a common enemy.
All right, step 1. The foundation of this whole thing is your message. And the absolute key here is to avoid getting bogged down in details. You want to use words that are full of passion and promise, but really, really low on any concrete facts that people can pick apart.
So let's break down the psychology of why this works so well. Life is messy, right? It's complicated. And deep down, a lot of us just want someone to give us a simple answer. The charlatan gets this. By offering some easy, cure-all solution, they let you skip all the hard work of actually thinking things through. The vagueness is the point. It lets people project all their own hopes onto your message.
And this is a perfect example. Back in the 18th century, this mountain doctor, SK'Philosophy, became a huge sensation. He wasn't giving people complicated medical lectures. Nope. He offered simple, natural remedies and, this is the important part, personal consultations. He was selling a feeling. He was selling soul-healing harmony, which was the perfect simple answer to the complex fears of his time.
Now let's move on to step 2, because this is where it gets really interesting. Once you have that vague message, you have to surround it with a spectacle. See, words and ideas go through the rational part of your brain, which is where doubt lives. But the senses? That's a direct highway to our emotion.
So the goal is to create an entire atmosphere that just overwhelms rational thought. We're talking pure theater. You fill the room with dazzling lights, incense, music, weird rituals. You're creating a whole new world that feels totally separate from boring, everyday reality. It makes belief feel easy and doubt feel kind of silly.
Franz Mesmer was an absolute master of this. His sessions on animal magnetism were pure performance art. His salon was designed to put you in a trance. Mirrors on the walls, incense in the air, harp music playing softly. And then, for the grand finale, Mesmer himself would walk in wearing a flowing silk robe. He wasn't selling a scientific theory, he was selling an unforgettable experience that made it all feel real.
Okay, on to step 3. You've got your message, you've got your spectacle, but now you need structure to make it all last. And the source says, hey, why reinvent the wheel? The best models are found in organized religion, which is basically perfected group dynamics over thousands of years.
Just look at the alchemist Francisco Borri. He didn't just have followers, he created a whole structured order. He made a hierarchy with different ranks and fancy titles. He gave people rituals to follow. He created a sense of purpose. And by demanding sacrifices, like their money, he made them even more committed. They were literally invested in the group's success.
Which brings us to a very practical step.
Number 4. A movement needs money to survive, but you have to be really, really careful about how you get it. Your followers can never feel like they're just paying customers. They have to believe that any money you get is a natural result of how powerful your ideas are, not just a simple transaction.
And finally, the last step. This is the one that really cements the group together and gives it a reason to fight. You create an us versus them mentality. A group is defined not just by what it's for, but by what it's against.
To really unite your followers, you need to give them an enemy. This could be the establishment, a rival group, or just the vague idea of ignorant outsiders. This enemy is crucial. It strengthens the bonds inside the group, gives everyone a shared mission, and makes them all feel special, enlightened for being on the inside.
But here's the thing. Wielding this kind of power, the power of a group's belief, is like holding a double-edged sword. The very same things that help you build your following can be the exact things that bring it all crashing down.
This quote just perfectly captures the paradox, right? A crowd can be way less rational and way more emotional than one person, which makes them easier to lead, but that emotional intensity is a wild card. It can lift you up, but it can also tear you down.
And this is the reversal of the law. This is the big danger. The moment that illusion shatters, if your promises turn out to be empty or your magic cures don't work, all that love and adoration can flip to pure rage in an instant. And an angry mob is a whole lot more dangerous than one disappointed person. And all that fury is going to be aimed right at the leader who let them down.
Now, it would be really easy to just write these off as stories about old-timey charlatans from a few hundred years ago. But the psychological tricks here, they're timeless. That 5-step playbook is just as relevant today as it was back in the 17th century.
And that is really the big takeaway from all this. Just look around you. In politics and business, in online wellness communities, all over social media. This pattern of manufacturing belief is everywhere. So the question I really want to leave you with is this. Now that you know the playbook, where do you see it in action? And maybe more importantly, how does knowing that change the way you see things?